And it might just be you and me tonight.
Okay. Oh, Josh. Hi, Josh. Hey, Kay.
Hello.
Oh, whoops. Got to mute that. Sorry.
Josh, you're in a new location?
I'm in a different location than the last time, yes.
Okay.
I'm at the gym mill tonight.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm going to start the webinar too. So we're recording and live streaming. Yeah, we are. Okay. And that'll let the attendees in, assuming that at least one of them will be the presenter. Hi, Peter.
Okay.
All right, Jeff Sherman, you have an old version of Zoom, so I couldn't ask you a question. Which application are you here for?
I am here for 108th Street, West 108th Street.
Okay, I'm going to return you to attendees then, and we'll call you back up when they get to that item on the agenda, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing personal.
No, no offense taken.
Anthony Valet or Veal, or what application are you here for?
I didn't hear.
I didn't hear either. Oh, thanks, Michelle. You put the agenda in the chat. Great. Hi, Julian. Nice to see you. And Mr. Lombardi, what application are you here for?
Yes, hi, I'm here for 2211 Broadway.
Very good. All right, we're gonna, let me see what I can do here.
I didn't do that.
I did it.
Yeah, thank you.
Tricky.
Whoops. Okay.
Hello, Michelle.
Hello, hello. How's the grandkids?
Wonderful.
Wow. You're a lucky man.
Yes.
Jay, could I share something with you and have you not react?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not going to happen.
Without meaning to start a discussion, I thought I'd tell you that I received an email today from Ed Pinkard, the Borough Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, who tells me that because there is no community partner on West End Avenue, they are ceasing that open street as of tomorrow. But if a community partner comes forward, they'll reevaluate.
Actually, I saw a note from Andrew on that, just
Okay.
as I was opening my email. So I already reacted loudly.
Excellent.
So you
Excellent.
don't have to be concerned.
Very good. Let's see, who else is here? Mr. Lombardi, is there anybody on your team that I should be promoting to work with you on the first application, 2211, the Apthorpe? Better if you unmute.
There you go. Yes, from my team was Anthony Velli.
Okay, I'll promote him.
Thanks, sir.
Although we couldn't hear Mr. Velli when we called on him before.
Excuse me.
So do you guys have a quorum, and do you have somebody to take minutes?
I'll take minutes.
Okay.
And 1, 2,
We do have a quorum.
4, 5. Yeah, we do have a quorum. Hello, Doug.
So why don't you get started?
All right. I'll kick us off. Welcome,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you.
We're the Preservation Committee of Community Board 7. Our job is to determine the best we can the appropriateness of any proposed modifications or additions and or renovations. Our role with the Landmarks Preservation Commission is advisory. They sometimes listen to what we have to say, and sometimes they don't. So, but we're very glad to be meeting with you all and to hear about the projects that you have in mind and ask you some questions as well.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
all right. So you're our first one on our agenda, the Apthorpe,
Thank you.
time-honored West Side institution, and we're glad to hear what you've got going.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you all for having me. I just wanted to give a brief history of my experience with the Apthorpe. It's, I hold it in a special place. It's one of my favorite projects that I'm working on. I'm an architect registered in New York, and I've been working on the Apthorpe for about 6 years. We did the facade renovation, which brought it back to a safe standard. We replaced roofs, and now we're dealing with leaks that we're having in the below grade space due to the sidewalk. So we've been provided permission to do work on the south and the west, and we're currently just finalizing permission from the MTA to do work on the north and the east. We feel like we should have that approval shortly, hopefully. One thing that's holding us up is we have some sidewalk vault lights that have been covered by an existing EPDM membrane in an areaway on the northeast corner. This areaway has been covered well before my time at the building, my 6 years here. I'm assuming more than 20 years based on the condition that I'm seeing. But when we were in the boiler room below the areaway, we noticed some deteriorated vault lights. The metal is gone. The glass lights themselves are gone. And from the top side, all you see is the black EPDM membrane. Enclosing that area is a 4-foot plus or minus 4-foot granite railing. So to see the areaway itself is kind of difficult unless you're purposely going to that granite wall and looking over to see. So we wanted to replace this membrane with a modern modified bitumen system and liquid resin flashings to keep the water from coming into the boiler room below. So our acquaintances at the Landmarks Committee said that it was just something that they wanted to put forth towards the community board, and we were hoping for permission to remove the waterproofing, the deteriorated side lights, and put a new lightweight topping and waterproofing membrane to stop the leaks.
So do you want me to bring up your slides, or do you want to do it yourself, or?
If you could, that would be great. Thank you.
That would help.
So this helps me out significantly. Thank you. So as you can see, the area we're talking about is on the northeast corner at West 79th Street and Broadway. Currently in this area, there's a black EPDM membrane. And if you go to the next slide, we have some.
Can I interrupt for a second? What is an ETM?
Oh, excuse me. I apologize. EPDM is a.
EPDM.
Yeah, EPDM is a single ply rubberized roofing membrane that was popular 20 years ago or so, even more. But now with new technologies and roofing systems, they've gone to a modified bitumen type of membrane, which is a petroleum-based membrane with granules that protect it from UV degradation. So it's a better water system for the area. And in conjunction with the modified bitumen membrane, we use liquid resin flashings, which is a liquid applied waterproofing at all terminations, seams, and joints. It's just a more robust waterproofing system that's going to protect the machinery and the materials down in the boiler room below.
All right. And I assume whatever happened way back whenever happened without Landmarks involvement.
I can only assume because I've been working closely with Landmarks And we've done a lot of research, and there's no photo documentation or anything that shows a time when this areaway was closed over, because on the rest of the building, all of the areaway is accessible and you could see into the lower level.
Okay, right.
So here we have a historic photo of the Apthorpe on the left, and on the right we have current photos after the facade repairs have been done. I'm proud of this building. I'm happy the way the restoration came out. The biggest achievement of this was the copper cornice at the top of the building. It was in terrible, terrible condition when we got there. It was filled with holes and causing terrible leaks into the penthouse area of the roof. And we completely repaired it, coated it. Anything that we repaired, we pre-patinaed the copper. It was a really interesting renovation project, restoration project. So if you go to the next slide, we should have some photos of the conditions I'm talking about. So here we are. I just wanted to give you guys a reference. The first photo, you're looking on the northeast corner towards the building. So you're looking southwest towards the building, and you'll see that granite wall that I was talking about. Thank you. That's it's about 4 feet high. I myself am not the tallest person around, so for me to actually see into that, I have to stand directly adjacent to it and look over to see what's going on in there. And if you look at the photo on the right, you'll see what we had to do to temporarily stop the water from coming in. So you can see the black below the clear polyethylene sheet, and we've tried termination bars and whatever we could to stop the water from coming in. So that's where we currently stand with this areaway.
I have a couple of questions. In photo number 1, I'm not the tallest person in the world either, but I did glance over.
Good.
Before you put that structure there over the wall, there
Mhm.
were people living in that area.
Yes, there was. And
that's why I thought you put that structure was put there.
No, that particular structure you're seeing in this photo was, there's a vent below that from the boiler room space. So that perforated screen around that is to allow the airflow, not to house any.
No, I didn't. That would be a deterrent from somebody sleeping there. That's what I meant.
Correct. So,
Also, in photo number 2, you have a bench. According to your description, that wasn't in the original plans of the Apthorpe. But you don't know when that bench was built?
Nobody at this point, and we've been doing a lot of research on this bench, nobody knows when that bench was installed. I do know there's a bus stop directly across from this bench.
Right.
So between myself and all my LPC friends over there, we've not been able to find when that bench was installed. But,
and you want to remove that bench as well and put the granite wall back up?
Well, there's 2 options at this point. I'm willing to work with LPC and the community as best as possible, however you would like. So I gave my client who manages the Apthorpe the option of, we could either go back with the railing to give it the historic look, or we could, right now it's a concrete bench that has reinforcement showing, the rebar is poking out everywhere, it's spalling everywhere. So I had recommended maybe we repair the bench and coat it to match the existing adjacent railing. So one of those 2 options, and LPC seems to be happy with either one. We just have to provide direction from ownership, how they want to go with that.
Yeah. Sorry,
So-
one more question, Jay. Sorry.
Yeah.
You said in the beginning that you needed MTA approval.
Yes,
I know there's a bus stop there. I happen to live around the corner.
great.
What approval
Yeah.
do you need from them?
They just want to see that we are taking into consideration their bus stop structure, the subway structure, which is adjacent on the northeast corner, that they just want us to be conscious of all the adjacent structures so we're not disrupting anything during our renovation work at the sidewalk.
Okay, sorry,
that's
Jay.
been,
No, I just want to make sure I understand. So under this temporary protection is this membrane.
yes.
And under the membrane, we still have the vault lights.
Yeah, you know what? If you could go to the next slide, I have a section that might,
Yeah, I'd like to see the vault lights.
oh, one more photo. Okay, so actually, photo number 6, if you go back, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2 slides, please. There you go. Photo number 6 in the bottom right corner. If that's from the boiler room looking up, and you'll see.
Do you have a photo of the actual vault lights?
Yes. So this.
They are.
Oh, there they are. Okay.
Yeah. This grid that
From
you
the
see-
bottom up. Do you have
Yes,
any?
correct.
Do you have any photos of them at the sidewalk level?
No, they're all covered and encapsulated by this black
By
rubber,
the membrane?
which is in the picture adjacent to the left.
Okay. And are the vault lights generally intact?
No, they're not. What I'm actually showing is one of the better areas of it. In most areas, they've completely either rusted out because they're cast iron and fallen out, or they're missing all the glass and just not in very good shape, structurally or aesthetically.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So if you could please zoom out. So in this picture on the left, you'll see that is the condition of the membrane prior to that clear plastic sheet that we just put down temporarily to stop the water from coming in. It's just a black membrane going in to, around the areaway. This is actually clean. We cleaned this out very well. It was becoming a garbage bin. People were just tossing their trash in there. Unfortunately, sometimes people were found to be sleeping in there. So what we're hoping to do is put back a membrane that's clean, just to clean up the area, make it look a little better than it was. And the management company that we have there now, who's running the building, they really care about this building as much as I do, and they're really taking care of the building, maintaining it very well. I don't foresee that happening in the future. I hope not.
How does the drainage work from the areaways? Is it
There is a drain in the areaway. There's one drain.
okay?
It's not shown in these photos, unfortunately, but there is one drain in the areaway.
So how
But
do
you
you
can-
encourage drainage into that drain now?
When we go back, we're gonna have a, now could you please go to the section, please? And I'll show you how we intend on doing that. Okay, so on the left, you see the existing section where we call out the vault lights, the lightweight topping, and the black EPDM membrane. And then on the right, you'll see my proposed section where we're putting a new corrugated deck, lightweight topping, waterproofing membrane, and then a new topping on top of that. So
Sorry.
we'd be encouraging drainage with the slope of the lightweight topping.
Yeah, I can't, honey. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. So that's pretty much it. We've definitely taken drainage into mind with this proposal.
Excuse me. Close the door, please, honey. Sorry.
No worries. This is, I have children, so it's like this for me every day.
That's my husband.
My wife
Wait,
says
Wait, I
I'm like
have
a
children
child.
now too.
My wife says. So that's pretty much what we're trying to do. We just want to keep it clean. Here's a better close-up picture of
Oh, that's good, yeah.
some of the better locations of the vault lights. And you can see there's no glass left. It's just really oxidized and dangerous, I would say. I would not walk on it. Those contractors who were a little braver than I.
So that will be just removed or covered over, or?
I would like to remove everything down to the existing steel structure,
I see.
down to the existing, and then we're going to put a new corrugated metal deck, lightweight topping, and then
Got it.
waterproof.
Got it.
So what's going to be permanent and visible is corrugated metal?
No, sir. It's going to be a lightweight concrete topping with waterproofing on it, and the waterproofing will be light in color. It should brighten up the space.
What material, is the waterproofing a separate material material on top of the concrete?
Yes, it's a liquid resin flashing, which you could get in white or gray.
Okay. Have you guys considered putting any kind of like elevated grading or something that would solve the problem of people sleeping in there? Because it sounds like once it's all done, you have the same issue.
You know what? You're right. But one thing that I was saying before is a little different now from when I first started with this project. When I first started with this building 6 years ago, it was a different management company. I don't want to say anything about that, but the new management company, I can say, is very much so on top of the security, lighting, overall maintenance of the building. And I do hope, basically from what I've seen, that they've been able to reduce drastically the amount of homeless that have been in the north corner.
Yeah.
And as far as grading on top of that, I'm willing to do anything, but I know Landmarks will not be probably too excited about putting a grading on top of that. And I know the building itself,
Right.
as much as I love the building, the people who live there love this building just as much,
Yeah.
if not more, a lot of them. So I don't know if they would like us to modify anything like that, but I have thought about something like that. Yes.
Just as an aside, were you there when the rooftop addition was proposed?
I was not there when the rooftop addition was proposed, but I know all about it. And I have some associates of mine who did try to get that. And I'm glad that they didn't, because right now, in addition to the cornice work that I did, there's 2 colonnaded masses up at the top of the building. You guys familiar?
Yeah, we're very familiar with it. I was on the committee at that time, and we actually took a tour of the roof as part of the process of trying to get that rooftop addition approved. So I'm
One of my
familiar with it.
associates, Lee Ping Kwan, I think he was involved with that as well.
He was on our committee at the time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Well,
Yeah,
the full
Oh.
board,
He's a member
the
of my
full board
church, so that's
voted.
funny.
Is that right?
but
Okay.
just for the record, the full board voted on the proposal to build that rooftop addition. And the vote was 35-2 against
Wow.
it.
I
And
can
may he
imagine.
rest in peace. Tom Vitullo Martin and me were the 2
That wanted it.
that felt it was appropriate, and actually felt it was
Well, it was.
I felt it was
Let's
appropriate.
get back on topic here, though.
I
okay?
apologize.
Where are we?
Just for history.
I apologize, but if you should see the work we did up there too. If you ever have a chance to go up the roof again, it's beautiful. It's clean and nice. And
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
All right.
Anybody
Sorry.
have questions? Yeah.
Right.
No,
All
Susan?
right.
no.
Anybody?
Question.
I'm just, if I may, I'm not on
Yeah.
the committee, but I'm on the board. I just wanted to get a better understanding. So the purpose of this vault was for light and ventilation to the vault area?
It was for light into the boiler below.
Okay. And so, which is generally not visible to the public unless you peered over, right? So now those vault lights are going to be removed, right? And it's okay. So regarding the bench, I would just say again, as a non-committee member here, I would be in support of restoring the bench and not removing it. I think it adds a nice
I like
thing.
that.
When I was a child, I remember waiting on that bench with my mother, waiting for the crosstown bus. So
Sure.
I think
And
we
that-
need more benches.
Those experiences are invaluable. And that's why I was thinking about, let's just repair it. And then if LPC approves and if everybody approves, we coat it to match the granite railing.
Yeah.
Maybe that tells us something about the date of the bench. I don't know.
You know what? Actually, when was that, sir?
That was that would be in the mid 1970s.
You helped me out a little bit. Thank you. That gives me a point. I appreciate
That's
it.
the only place for people, besides the, apart from the bus stop, that's the only place for people to sit
Mhm.
on the route between Broadway and West
Oh, we
End.
could keep it. Yeah,
Yeah, so I would
Absolutely.
be in favor of restoring it as well.
yeah.
Okay.
And the only other thought I had with regard to, you know, what Jay brought up about possibly having a recurring problem of homeless, you know, coming back to that space, and this may be completely out of context here, but any way to do any planters or anything there, you know, that would be attractive and functional.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm not against that either. I have to see how the building feels about security. You know, if maybe somebody could hide behind a plant or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too deep into it.
Rats.
Oh.
Also
Animals and
And
creatures.
defecation
Yes,
and
yes.
urination.
Good
Well, you
point.
can't. It'd be at elevation. It would be at an elevated. It would, right. If this is like 3 or 4 feet high.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we're a little off topic again because whether or not the homeless occupy the space is not really whether or not the renovation proposed
This is
is
true.
Appropriate.
appropriate or not.
True.
Thank you,
Um,
Mark.
The thing that I'll share, if I may, with the chairs,
Yes.
thanks, is that we've seen a couple of applications to remove these vault lights. And it's not a surprise to me that this could not have been approved at staff level. There was an approval of one at that church on Central Park West,
Right.
but it was a very tiny little strip and it was going to be hidden behind a handicap or an ADA accessible ramp anyway.
Right.
And there, I think they let it go. But some of you may remember being on the committee when a very modest storefront on Columbus Avenue, sort of next door to the Dakota Bar, was
Hello
opening
Kitty store.
the coffee store. Yeah.
Hello Kitty.
No,
Hello
it was
Kitty.
it was a
It was next to Hello Kitty.
it was a right. It was a Brazilian coffee
Brazilian
place,
coffee.
which I just
Yes.
remember that part of it.
Yes.
And they were all ready to open, and then there was a concrete slab over the vault lights, so the vault lights hadn't been seen in a generation. And then somebody stepped on it the wrong way. It all caved in, and they discovered the vault lights, and then LPC would not let them remove the vault lights. Even though our committee, I believe, voted to allow them to remove the vault lights. And Jay was actually the guy who did some research on this and found out that there are 2 things that you can do with vault lights. One is restore them as they were, which is the little circles with glass on them or some sort of
Oh, yeah.
transparent membrane. And the other is that it was sort of a diamond pattern, wasn't it, Jay? That
Metal, yeah.
metal diamond, yeah,
But
which wouldn't work here because it has holes in it and then the water could go through.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's what Mr. Lombardi's in for when he goes to LPC, is that there'll be a desire to keep these things, even though vault lights like these are part and parcel of the character of the Soho Historic District, but one could argue not necessarily a recurring element or popular theme of Upper West Side historic districts, but that's for you guys to decide. And so that's, if I may, the issue of appropriateness strikes me as whether or not you see the removal of this historic feature as compromising the historic character of this building, keeping in mind that it is visible and on the street from passersby.
Would these
I'll
vault lights be
defer-
visible?
yeah, well, you can see
It
him.
would be if they made him restore the vault lights as they were, then it would be visible. The fact that they're covered up now is the existing condition, but not the historic condition.
I guess if you worked at it, they're visible, Michelle, you know, like if you
Yeah.
really wanted to see them.
Is it possible
My-
to restore them?
Mark, my
Is it
recollection,
possible to restore them?
yeah, my recollection was
Excuse
that the
me.
committee.
Hang on, Jay.
Can
was-
the gentleman please just answer that question?
What,
Is it possible to restore them?
Not the existing in their current condition.
not existing.
They're
You
beyond
could
place.
replicate.
Not the existing ones, but a replacement is not doable.
A replacement is, anything is doable with enough time and money. And if I have access to that time and money, I will restore everything throughout the city possibly. I'm a restoration architect first. Most of my buildings are I'm all existing buildings, the Art Deco, all of these. So I lean that way always. And if my building and the clients and everybody had that feel to go that way and the money to do so, I would definitely like to go that route. Thank you.
Mark, my recollection was that the committee approved a replacement with the diamond embossed metal. I know I voted against it. I felt that the sidewalk vault light should be, in fact, replaced. And my recollection, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll defer to your recollection, was that Landmarks approved the diamond embossed metal.
The second part is correct. I don't remember what our resolution was, although I think that you were in the minority on that because I think most of
I was.
I think the committee voted to say let it just be covered with a concrete slab, but that was not the result. Hey Doug, that was not the result at Landmarks. I think
Right.
Landmarks gives you the option of either that diamond pattern thing or the restoration of the little round lights.
Right.
So they don't insist on the little round lights because as I understand, and Mr. Lombardi can tell us, they're quite expensive.
I looked into it. They are.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right,
Yeah.
Mark.
This is not a hardship application. This is whether or not this is appropriate standing up as it is.
Correct.
So anyway, I talked too much. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We're sympathetic, but I guess I myself, I'm not that wed to the idea of replacing them in kind, but others may feel differently.
Yeah, well,
Hey, Doug.
I did then with the other project, and I feel the same way now that all things being equal, and generally we've always had a policy of not considering the possible expense of doing things, whatever it is, whatever the project is, and conceitedly it would be more expensive to replace them. But I felt then, and I felt now, if it's historically that was the configuration there, it should be. If you're doing a restoration, it should be restored to the way it was historically. So that's my opinion.
What happened to the other facades? Was work done on the vaults there?
No, the
And
other
what kind of
facade,
work?
the other facades are actually open area ways that you could see into the level below. This is the only area that's covered up because of the boiler room space below.
So you retained and refurbished the vaults on the other
Yeah.
side?
We've done work on the granite railings around them, but there was no covering to those areas.
There's no vault lights
No
to
vault.
repair.
There's no vault lights
It's
there to
okay.
Full
restore.
area ways, and there's then windows,
Got it.
on the
Correct.
side.
Okay.
Correct.
Well,
Different.
we wanna
So
vote.
somebody should either propose
So-
a resolution
So
or
the resolution is to you want to waterproof the enclosed areaways on the north wall on West 79th Street. You want to remove the cast iron vault lights that have been covered and replace them
with concrete.
with concrete and, well, first a petroleum-based membrane with granules and sealed by liquid resin.
Yes, thank you for getting all that. You're absolutely right. Yes.
All right. Anybody else have a question or a thought before we
Yeah.
consider
Well,
that?
We our resolution is to, not to remove the bench, but to renovate, restore the bench. Even though that wasn't part of the original structure, we wanted.
Doug sat on it, so it has historical value, adds to the meaning of the building.
But
Is that
Michelle,
part of this
are you proposing a resolution then to approve the application?
To approve it, yes, with
Okay.
Thank you.
so is everybody in favor of, you're not in favor,
No.
Jay, of removing the vault lights? You want
Correct,
them replaced?
correct.
All right. Anybody else want to weigh in on that one way or the other?
I'm in agreement with Jay.
I philosophically really don't like to agree with Jay, but I do.
Yeah,
Me too.
once in a while.
Yeah. Doug, do you
Right,
want to
should we
weigh in on
consider
this,
that
even though you just
separately,
came
or
in?
Michelle, should we consider that separately then, or no?
Michelle, I don't think it's appropriate for me to weigh in. It wasn't a part of
Okay.
the conversation.
Okay. Peter, what is your philosophy about the vault lights?
I would approve what's been keeping the bench.
Right.
Sorry.
But I want to hear what you have to say about the vault lights. Peter, what do you have to say about the vault lights? Removing them, not replacing them?
I think it's okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we'll go with the resolution to remove the vault lights, restore the bench, remove the vault lights and replace it with concrete and, as I said before, petroleum-based membrane with granules and liquid resin to seal it as a sealant.
I appreciate that, everybody.
Okay,
Well,
well,
we're
we
not
haven't
there
voted
yet.
on
We
it yet.
haven't voted
To
yet.
vote on.
Don't appreciate us yet.
Excuse me.
Okay, so I'll call by name. Jay,
No,
Josh,
Yes.
Susan,
No,
Peter,
Yes,
Madge,
No,
Doug, you're abstaining?
I'd actually turn to Mark. Should I abstain or not be counted for the vote? I've heard none of the conversation.
So this is a tricky thing, but I think what you should do is turn off your camera and pretend you're not here for a few minutes,
That's what I'm
because,
doing.
yeah.
you can abstain.
Oh, no, but abstain is a no.
Yeah.
And he's intending not to
Okay.
vote.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Kay,
Yes,
and I'm a yes.
Thank
So
you.
it's the 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses, 3 nos.
The slimmest of margins.
Yeah. And Mark, what's your vote?
Non-committee vote, I would vote in favor of the resolution.
And Doug?
In favor of.
Okay, so non-committee vote is 2-0-0-0. And the committee vote is 4-3-0-0. Okay, so the resolution passes. When are you going to be at Landmarks? Do you know?
I can talk to them. I'll send them an email right after this and tell them.
Yeah, so let me jump
Yeah,
in
we
on that
got
if I
some
may.
emails as we were sitting here.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah, but
The full board meeting is on December
Correct.
1st.
Yes.
So you would need to schedule this after December 1st with a 4-3 vote. It would not be fair to send just a committee action down to LPC. We would want to give all of our full board colleagues an opportunity to either affirm or revise the resolution. So please don't schedule your public hearing for any time earlier than December 8th.
December 8th or December 1st?
first.
December 8th, because December 1st would have been the afternoon before the full board.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah, I
So at
understand.
LPC, yeah, right.
Oh, that's right. So they meet on the following Tuesday, which is the 8th. You're right.
Okay.
Or any time thereafter.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Now I would like to thank you all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, one of us will be at LPC.
Excellent, excellent. I'll let LPC know what's come of it and just let me know if there's any action on my side, all right?
Yeah, just
Very good.
as Mr. Diller said, keep in mind your scheduling.
Absolutely will. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
What's the next one?
18 West 75.
Okay.
This is to recreate the stoop in a historically accurate manner.
Indeed.
So let's, I see a bunch of folks in the, oh, Julian's still with us, great. So Mr. Sherman is for 108th Street, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who among these folks are here for 75th. Ms. Cohen, are you here for 75th?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we'll bump you up. And is there anybody on with you here that I should include in our on the panel for now?
Okay,
Ms. Cohen?
so.
Is it just you?
No, I think I have colleagues, but they were going to stay quiet, although my boss may still be in his office, Juan Matiz.
Well, if he's your boss, then I'm promoting him to panelist. And anybody else, Jayesh Jain or Sanam Javadi, are they part of your team?
Jayesh is, but that's I think he was fine to be a silent observer.
All right. Well then, when you want your slides,
I do have slides ready if I can share.
Okay, I'll let you share. You should now be able to share.
Okay, and everyone is seeing my screen.
And this is Juan Matiz. Hilda Cohen will be presenting for us, and I'm going to sit very quietly here in case something comes up, but she's managing this presentation for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, this is our presentation that we are giving to LPC. We have a date of December 8th, in case you wanted to know that. And I will go through this, briefly touch on the images that we've given to you. This proposal is at 18 West 75th Street to reconstruct the historic masonry stoop and the front masonry yard wall based on these the 1940s tax photos. We have some very good historic details in these photos. We want to maintain the elements across this building and our neighbors. And the reason that we're before you and also going to the committee is that a previous owner, an earlier renovation, changed the entire height of the parlor floor. So they raised that floor 23 inches. So what could be a very straightforward historic stoop reconstruction, we are accommodating this 23-inch change. And without further ado, we will go through. So this is 18 West 75th Street. It is on 75th between Central Park West and Columbus Avenue. A larger scale picture of the historic stoop, the masonry newels, the brownstone columns, and then what you can see, the small picture in the middle, is the existing conditions where the stoop has been completely removed and the basement entrance.
I'm sorry, can you tell us if, because it looks like the arrow is pointing to the box stoop, the stoop that turns a corner. Is that the building, or is it the one next to it that has a straight stoop?
So that is actually our neighbor, and this is the tax photo of our neighbor. And it's just that the tax photo label covered over all of the details. So we've been using this one, but our block is actually, our lot is 44. So good catch.
Thanks a lot. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Yours is the straight stoop.
Straight stoop.
Correct. in that photo, and we'll see
In
the
that
historic
photo.
photo
Okay.
again. So we use it a couple of times in the presentation.
Okay.
The top photo is a photo montage of the south elevation of the street. So our building is outlined in red. This is 18 West 75th Street. You can see 20, 22, 24. These were all built by John Byrne, the architect, 1889 to 1890. And per the LPC designation report, this is a Renaissance revival with Queen Anne elements. And you can see across all of these facades, these horizontal elements, we want to maintain those. We're using all of these existing precedents in our proposal. And you can also see the bottom photo is the north side. It also shows consistent elements across the elevations. These next sheets show, or these next photos show a lot of the existing conditions that we have now. So this is the sidewalk. We have a tree pit. What is existing is a black rail over a masonry curb, and at the front is in front of the masonry curb. We have, and the red line, take note of that red line. We will show you where that is on the survey a little bit farther on. The other photos over here on the left, we have a photo of the existing conditions. There is a lot of detail. A lot of detail was put back in this earlier renovation that was done by the previous owner, and we will be using a lot of that detail. It's across the facades, across the bay. We've got the enlarged stone. We will be replicating all of these details along there. And then the bottom is a photo montage so that you see the basement entrance. You also see these really substantial masonry stoops of 20 and 22. Both of those have been recreated in the past 10, 15 years.
Oh,
So again, this is
that's
a
it.
larger scale of the survey. In order to do a real examination of how far out it sits with our neighbors, we asked our surveyor to take 5 different building properties. And here, up left photo, you can see this red line. This is a blow up of it, and this red line is the extent of where the curb sits now, and we are not pushing past that. We've been speaking back and forth with DOT. They asked, they said that this was a really good line to hold on to, so that's also what we're working with. However, we do show that this block has undulating stoops. The stoops push out. This is a diagram of sort of what happens on the block. And again, a photo of our adjacent neighbor, 20 West 75th Street. So here's the proposal in more or less one photo or one example. We have we are putting back doors instead of where the window is at the parlor floor. We're replicating the larger scale of the brownstone columns, which is directly adjacent at 20 West 75th. We're replicating the masonry stoops, the substantial masonry newels. We've got the masonry wall coming around. We have a lot of height differences that we're working with, so we're using planters, which are also visible at the 20 West 75th Street. Here is a rendering that we've taken to look in the same perspective as the historic, so that you can see we're maintaining these historic lines, we're maintaining the substantial size of the newels. And this is where we say that we've got about 3 risers that we have to add into our stoop to meet the height change, with that 23-inch height change that the previous owner did before. The rest of the lines are very consistent, and the substantial, the sort of heaviness of this masonry stoop, and just like our neighbors, it doesn't feel overwhelming to have those extra risers. Here's a few more images of the renderings. Again, this is the red line, which is our current extent, and or the current extent of the front yard. We have the planters, which you can see are visible, some of the decorative elements that we would be matching, a lot of the detail, a lot of the colors that we would be matching. And here's some more details. the sections show what is existing, which is just a simple rail down to the basement entrance. And then we would be putting back the masonry stoop. You would still have an entrance. We would have a metal gate at the basement entrance. Everything is replicated based on that historic photo, with the exception of the change in height, that 23-inch change in height, which is what brings us here. Again, these are some plans that show what is being replicated. We've tinted it sort of the brownstone color. There are planters at that front areaway. We would be keeping those. We would be changing the metal rail to a masonry wall with some small newels to match the larger newels. The difference we have now from before is that we used to have a stoop adjacent to us, but our neighbor to the east has completely removed their stoop as well. So adding a newel post here really was able to sort of finish that wall. A few more sections just to show the difference between our existing on the left and our proposed. And this elevation starts to talk again about that the only real difference that between the historic and our proposed is where those doors and those 3 risers are. So the center elevation is the existing with the basement entrance and the black rail. The proposed is at the right. This has the decoration, the decorative elements, the newel posts. And on the left is the proposed with the historic outline of the doors where they would have been if the 23 inches that the previous owner had not changed. And I can have you look at this if you want. And then if you want to come back to any of these, we can. As we're talking about the doors, we still are looking to have 2 double doors, which is in keeping with the types of doors that we have at the stoop. But because of that change in height, we are lining up with the decorative elements within the door rather than having a transom above. But the light is similar. We're using all of the same language, all of the same details, and all of the same horizontal lines.
May I ask a question?
Mhm.
I'm just having a hard time following the 23-inch increase, which is the heart of the matter.
Correct.
That I can see the 23-inch, I believe, increase in height on the steps. Is it also reflected at the top of the new proposed door? So would that new proposed door be 23 inches? Yeah, and this picture is where I'm having a hard time.
No, it's not. What ends up happening is it used to be that you could have about an 8-foot door and a 2.5-foot transom, but we don't have that transom above. So the top of the door still lines up with the tops of the windows. So that horizontal line that you would see as you're walking up the steps, that would be consistent. And so we just have shorter, our doors are not well, the doorway is not as tall, but the lines are
high.
Hi.
It is high, yes. And that means that the floor of the parlor is at the bottom of the window, whereas in a typical condition, if the previous owner had not done that renovation, it would, come up to about your knee when you're on that parlor floor. Does that better explain it?
It does, thank you.
Mhm.
Is this a single family residence?
It is a single family residence.
Thanks.
And then there's only a couple more photos with what we're doing at the gate. The precedent was a historic lattice and then more of a modern take on the lattice work. We have some precedents because we are putting some glazing behind the gate. Here's the photo where we have the curved element, which is the historic masonry opening with the gate. Here's a little bit more about the front areaway where we're taking out the black iron rail and we're putting in the masonry wall. We're using planters once again, and I will go back to another photo at the end so that you can see all of these elements put together. But we're maintaining sort of this separation between the outside and the inside, but just instead of the black rail, it is the masonry. Here are a few of the details. So the renovation that was performed previously is in keeping with all of the original detail, but it is all at the stucco. There's no cast stone, there's no real stone that's left at the surface. So our finish would be matching that. Our profiles would match that. Any substrate would be covered with the stucco. That stucco would match in color and it would match in details, decorative elements all across the face. And so here again is the comparison with the historic tax photo and then the proposal.
Great. Other questions?
Just,
I have a question.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, wait. Go ahead, Doug.
Just, are we, on this particular request, are we, will we be discussing specifically the appropriateness of the 23-inch increase? Is that the heart of the issue, or is it in the, and Ms. Cohen, in your brief, you mentioned specifically that that was why you were here at the Preservation Committee, that specific reason?
So in our conversations with Landmarks, they consider that 23-inch to be an existing condition. It is something that we have to accommodate, but it's an existing condition. And so since it does not match 100% the historic precedent, then we have to go through the process of going to the commission. They seem to, you know, our feedback, and I don't want to have you be biased one way, they seem to be completely supportive of this. They think that the commission is going to be supportive of this, but the process, because of that 23-inch height, changes the level of the landing. And so the process is to go through with the community board approval and Landmarks Commission.
If I may add, this is Juan Matiz, and if I may add one thing. So this existing condition, basically the prior owner raised the parlor level so that the floors are coplanar with the sill of the windows, which are landmark accurate and historically accurate on the exterior. But our doorway happens to be these 23 inches higher, and therefore that difference does not allow our owner and us to provide you with a exact and historically accurate condition, and therefore that oddity is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Susan, did you have a question?
Thanks, I did. I'm just curious why you're going from a railing to the masonry.
At the front yard wall?
Yeah.
It's a, I think it was the condition of the historic nature of it. He's also next to a multifamily building, and he prefers to have the masonry. I think he's had people lock up their bikes in front and find it quite disturbing. So is very taken with the masonry, actually.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question about the masonry on the, I guess it would be the west side. Is that, can you go back to that picture, please, that shows the metal railing?
One of the existing conditions photos?
Let me see. Just so we could see the railing on the west side. Well, this is okay. Having masonry there will block some of the light from going into the window, won't it?
He's aware of that. The owner is aware of that. What we've done is we've not raised it as high as we absolutely have to. For code, we have raised a certain height, and we've put planters there, which is one of those conditions that is, it's actually what we have. This is our east side where the planters are right here.
East side,
and it's,
sorry.
Yeah, and on our west side, there are planters. So he's aware it's going to block a little bit of light. He's accepting of that.
And could you go back to what you're going to do with the doors and the window to the basement entrance? That will remain an entrance, correct?
The basement entrance will remain an entrance. It will be underneath the stoop.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have specifically a drawing of that with the new masonry, but we don't anticipate having to change that door. We will have to change the masonry around it because the new stoop will sort of take its place, but there won't really be a change in height to that door. We were going to keep the door as is.
Do you have a room to get in there under the stoop? It looks very tight.
It's actually, after they raised that floor 23 inches above, it's quite a tall, it's quite,
Yeah, but
I
I'm
think that's an
talking
8-foot door.
about- Right.
We have steps down. I can go to one of the sections. So you can see, it actually is quite high, the space underneath the stoop.
Oh, because you have the 3 additional risers.
We have, yes, the basement with the raise of the parlor floor level, we have a taller basement. The existing condition is that the basement floor is taller than typical.
Can you explain why you have the door in 4 panels of, or 2x2 panels of glass instead of 1 tall panel of glass on each side?
For the front door,
Yeah.
it was a selection. We don't have, I don't know if that ratio has been discussed.
Well, I'm just sort of looking at your precedents, and the one that seems the most applicable is the tall, thin, single panes on either of the French doors.
Yeah.
And the divided light ones, or the divided pane ones, are very decorative, very sort of curved and carved a bit and like that. And it seems like you're proposing a much simpler door, and the simpler doors seem to be the ones that have the single pane on either side. So I'm wondering, what is there precedent that you can cite for that particular configuration or functionality, or why is it that way?
We were, the client said that he liked his basement door, so we were mimicking some of the heights and sort of cleanliness, sort of more modern lines of the basement door, which has it's almost split, where it's wood to about halfway through. On this photo, if you can see, here's the existing door. So it is a higher wood. It's not as low as what we have at our neighbor.
Yeah, I understand. I just got to tell you that a basement door and a front door on top of a stoop strike me as different things.
They're very different, yeah.
What
Also,
was the configuration of the historic door?
Yeah.
It was I can go to the best photo that we have for that.
Oh.
It was a taller, it was taller glass than what we are showing in the proposed.
Wouldn't you want it to be the same or similar?
We certainly can. I don't know if that becomes one of those issues that is, I can certainly propose that to the owner. There's not an absolute set. It's much more at this point. LPC has told us that it's really about the masonry stoop. So, but I definitely will make note of that.
Yeah,
I think it's a very good point.
This is Juan Matiz. Additionally, the doors, from having been a part of many of these kinds of restorations, the doors have a very lax leeway on the type of panel, the amount of glass, even the color. And so we find that there's usually not a very specific type of door that goes with a very specific type of building. And you all are familiar with the neighborhood more than us. The doors is quite a variety, as long as they're properly material, properly proportioned, they have the elegant kind of hardware that's appropriate. Landmarks is fairly lenient with the actual geometry, unless you do something that completely is out of context.
But if you're replicating the stoop and you know the configuration of the historic doors, why not replicate those also?
Well, they can't, because they have a much shorter door and they don't have a transom.
Well, they can do it proportionately, but
Yeah,
the basic configuration of the single pane
yeah, they could.
glass rather than the divided lights could be done. Is that correct?
Yes, we will discuss it with our owner, but I just wanted to just sort of make you all aware, from our vantage point, the doors are a sort of, there is some leeway. We'll speak to the owner and see if we can increase the size of the glass.
Now, this is just in the basement. So
No.
Jay, could you tell me the terminology on this?
Michelle, they're at the top of the steps.
Front door, the main door we're talking about.
I know it's premature since we don't have a resolution yet, but my assumption is that we will resolve to approve the application to restore the stoop. And I would include a strong recommendation to replicate the historic configuration of the doors in proportion to the height increase of the steps.
And that's just the front door.
Front
The
door,
front
yeah.
door should be one pane, not two, right?
Yes.
Should be, well, it's
On
two
each
single panes.
One on each side. I could go along with that. The proposal doesn't bother me. For one thing, it kind of mimics the detailing on either side of the door. And it also suggests to me, it's got a little bit reminiscent of the transom, but I could go either way on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest making it a condition of approval,
Yeah,
but with a strong recommendation on
Sure.
stating that that would be a preference.
great. We could do that.
And that's my
Yeah.
one man's opinion.
And we're okay with the materials. There will the excuse me, the stoop will be it's all masonry.
Well,
It's all stucco. I'm sorry.
it's stucco. It's still considered masonry, but yes, it's a stucco finish to match the existing stucco finish.
With
Can we
same
get
color.
the historic trash cans back that are in the old picture?
Is anybody going to do any detail work on the staircase? Like the original
Yes.
detail? Pardon?
Yes, in the rendering, in the computer rendering, areas that have panels, these sort of areas that have panels, those actually represent the decorative elements that would be matched. So where we have decorative element here, we've created sort of this rectangle of decorative element. So instead of rendering it in the computer, we've got these rectangular areas. It won't be blank, but it's a very heavy. It's a
And the
heavy
same with the Newell.
image. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. All right. Any other questions? Or are we ready to move forward with a resolution?
Yep, I think so.
Okie dokie.
Would you please stop sharing your screen so that our colleagues can see each other? Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Michelle, you've been working away. Do we have a resolution that includes the recommendation of the,
Yes, to
door?
replace the front door as one pane of glass, one on each side.
right, that would be our strong recommendation.
A recommendation.
And other than that, it's an approval
Approval.
resolution.
Madge, did you want to say anything?
Nope, just vote.
Okay, I'll call names. Jay,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
thank you. Susan,
Yep.
Peter,
Yes,
Madge.
You already called her.
How come I called you twice, Madge?
Maybe you want her to vote?
Did I call Susan yet?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Madge.
Sorry.
Doug,
How about
Yes.
I had a call in the
Yeah.
middle.
what?
I just
Yes,
had a
and
call in the
oh.
middle. I'm sorry.
All right. So your vote is what, Madge?
Yes, and my first apartment in New York was number 24, third floor bay window.
Aw, that's exciting.
Kay?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0, 0, 0. And non-committee board members, Mr. Diller
Yes.
and Doug.
Yes.
Thank you. So the non-committee vote is 2, 0, 0, 0. Thank you. Thank
you.
you.
And we'll see you on
Thank
the December 8th.
All right,
December 8th
excellent.
is your date?
If all goes
December
through.
8th is our date. Yes.
All right. And you expect to start this work, you know when? Baruch Hashem.
I'm not quite sure, but we would like to have everything sort of set up for the spring. definitely. When, if there's any, if we have a cold winter, definitely in the spring. If it doesn't seem that cold, maybe we could start it earlier, but we're very aware of the weather conditions for this type of work.
Yeah.
There are a
All
few
right.
things up in the air these days.
Yeah.
Could
Hard to
I just ask that if the client approves the configuration of the door, that we've recommended that you notify the committee chairs, so we know that?
Thanks,
Sure.
Jay.
That will, yeah,
Great.
that will help.
We
Thank
can even have more of a response, even, I think you vote on December 1st
On
for,
December 1st.
okay, so we'll work hard to get something back to you.
Great.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay,
for
good.
that.
all right.
Thanks
Thank you.
very
Have a good
much.
evening.
Thank
Okay.
you
Jay.
too.
So I see a few folks in the attendees. Annabelle Winfred, are you here for the 108th Street proposal? You have to unmute. Mr. Sherman, do you have anybody on your team who I should promote to be on the panel with you?
If Sanam Javadi is still with us, I think that's the only member of my team.
Okay. And Ms. Winfred, are you with us for this application?
I'm just sitting in.
Very good.
All right,
Thank
Very
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Very
Good to
welcome.
have you here.
Pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Mhm. Okay, shall we get started with our last application?
Yeah, this is an application to approve a paint front facade brickwork. An application to approve the painting of the front facade brickwork. Correct?
That is
Yes.
correct.
All right.
All
And
right.
I have a total of one slide from you. So if there are any more, please either let me know and you can share your screen or
Yeah, I'll share my screen if you don't mind.
all right, I'm going to pull mine down. You go ahead.
Great.
And you are who to this project, Mr. Sherman?
I am the architect of record,
Okay.
and the project is a completed project. So this is actually our second application for the address. What we are now seeking is approval for the coating that was used to repaint the bricks on the front facade. Landmarks had approved repainting the brick facade, but the painter used a product that turned out to be an elastomeric coating, and Landmark staff cannot approve elastomeric coatings, so we're seeking approval from the commissioners now in a public hearing, and first from you.
Could somebody, either you, Mr. Sherman, or one of our colleagues, explain what an elastometric coating is and why it's not something that staff can approve?
Sure. I could try. An elastomeric coating tends to be a little thicker than paint. They actually vary quite a bit. The reason they don't like it at Landmarks is because of the thickness. So it has a slightly different look than paint. Although I think the coating that was used on this one, you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference. But be that as it may, the staff cannot approve it, so it has to go up to the commissioners.
I think part of the problem is removing it tends to tear away at the brick.
That's exactly right. And that's our concern, that at this point, stripping the bricks, which is what we would have to do to get a staff level approval, risks damaging the fire skin of the bricks, which would lead to a premature decomposition of the masonry. So leaving the coating in place causes the least harm to the historic facade. And that's what we're advocating at this point.
I went up to, I live on 80th. I went up to 108th Street and stared at that building and the one next to it for a long time, and looked at the before and after pictures of the building at 328. And the first thing I thought was it's going to take some maintenance to keep things like plants from growing on it, vines. And I wondered what effect, if any, the buildings to each side would have on the paint that was used. Maybe there's none, but.
Well, the building that's to the left of ours, and you can see here in the before photo and in the after photo, that project is going through a very large renovation at the moment. I'm sure you've probably weighed in on this. It's actually 2 or maybe 3 row houses that are being combined into one very large project. It's currently a painted facade, and presumably it will continue to be a painted facade. The building to the right is a brownstone that is not painted. But in terms of vines growing up the building, I
They
don't
used to
think
be, right?
there were vines growing up the building. There were no plans to
Right.
grow new vines on the building, and this shows you what it looks like in its current configuration. There's a tree planted in the front yard, but no vines planted. I don't imagine vines would grow any differently on an elastomeric coating than they would on a painted brick facade.
But they may tear away at that type of paint, which is only like a sheet in terms of texture. It doesn't really penetrate. That paint doesn't penetrate the brick, does it?
It is a non-penetrating coating, but then paint is a non-penetrating coating too. So there's very little difference. It is a breathable coating, and that is why the GEC actually chose it. But no, I don't think it would be any more susceptible to damage from vines than paint would.
It's a spectacular building.
Yeah.
It's a lovely building. Thank you.
And they did a phenomenal job, because there's a lot of preparation that has to be done for that type of paint.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it looks terrific, and
It really does.
and the quality of the work is really very high.
Yeah, because there's a lot of detail there. They could have
That's right.
mucked up at any point. And I stared at that building for a long time.
Yeah, I did the same thing, Michelle. I went
Yeah.
up, took a
Just
little
looking for a problem,
field trip.
right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
well,
what I do.
It's very striking.
Yeah.
All right. Questions?
I've got one. This is Mark. Is there a difference in useful life of the paint of this elastometric coating as opposed to good old-fashioned paint from Benjamin Moore?
Elastomeric coatings will generally last about twice as long as a painted coating.
Thanks.
This is a private building, a private residence?
It is single family.
Single family.
Wow.
Lucky family.
Spectacular building.
What's the width of the building?
Oh, it's quite wide. I'm thinking it's 18 or 20 feet wide, but I don't have that information in front of me. It's been a while since oh, you know what? It may be on the survey that we have here. 22 feet wide.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's 22. All right. Other questions? All right.
I'll stop sharing.
There we go. You think we're ready to vote, or what's our feeling? Yeah.
Susan, where's Sue? I don't see her.
Susan's here.
Okay. Susan, you have a question, Susan, or you want to say something?
Wondering what matches have for dinner, but no, nothing really.
The question is the appropriateness of the type of paint. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, if I could share, I'm generally not in favor of painting bricks for any purpose, using anything, but it looks like the issue here is not whether or not it should be painted, but with what. And I certainly lack any wisdom to guide that conversation.
Did we see the picture of what it looked like? With the paint? Can you show that? Did you see that picture, Mark?
The one photograph that I had didn't show.
Yeah, the one corner. The one side, the left-hand
No,
side.
the only thing I have is a drawing. This is all I have.
Oh,
I apologize. My Wi-Fi cut out. Could you ask the question again?
yeah, I wanted to see that picture again of the close-up
Everyone's frozen
of the
for me.
paint job.
Oh, I'll share the photo again.
Yeah.
Am I the only one
Thank you for
frozen?
indulging me, team.
Oh, please, not at all.
Yeah, Doug, I think you are.
Okay.
Oh, this one on the left. That's the after photo.
Yes.
That's what the wall outside looks like. It's spectacular. And that's the before above that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is it that shiny?
It's not,
No, it's a satin finish.
yeah,
Okay.
it's, yeah, sorry. Okay,
Right.
I mean, I'm ready to, the resolution would be to approve the elastomeric coating. Oh, when was this painted? I forgot.
It was painted about 3 months ago.
3 months.
No, it would have been a little bit longer than that. Sorry,
Yeah,
5
maybe.
months ago.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did anybody already ask the obvious question why the raw material was used?
We gave a performance spec. It was to be a breathable paint for exterior masonry, and the contractor chose this mistakenly because it was actually sold to him as a paint, and it is breathable, and it is exterior, and it is for masonry. But frankly, our main concern was about the color of it. We never even checked to see if he was using an actual paint.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, it's more expensive.
Yeah, it is.
And it's, I read that it's could be 10 times thicker than regular paint.
It can be, although this does not seem to be anywhere near that thick.
But thickness is measured in 1/1000th of an inch.
Mhm.
So
Wow, Michelle.
I have to look up like every other word.
Per code.
All right.
Call the question.
Yes, sir.
Indeed.
May I just ask one very quick question? May I?
Go ahead. Yes, of course.
Just hypothetically, if this were disapproved tonight, you'd have to remove all this paint and then reapply.
No, not if the board disapproves. If
LPC
Landmark can still approve it at a public hearing.
Understood. Thank you.
And Jay, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to comment on Mark saying he didn't have the wisdom to make the distinction, but we've done a lot of things without having.
With no wisdom at all.
We make all kinds of decisions without having the wisdom. Anyway.
Consistently.
On that happy note.
Okay, so the resolution would be to approve the application as presented to us today. All right, so I'm going to take a vote. Jay?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Michelle,
I'm sorry.
Can we put something in the resolution saying, sort of along the lines of what Mark was saying, that in general, we don't encourage people to paint brick, but since it's already been painted?
Yes, we could do that.
Yeah.
Everybody's okay with that?
Yeah.
That would be part of our.
I'm not okay with that because it sort of encourages people to do it ahead of getting approval. So.
Good point.
We did similar things for Mark when he was a member of the committee. Anytime anybody proposed anything in stucco. Mark is an anti-stucco.
Oh, yeah. That's why I asked
On rooftops.
prior application.
On rooftops, yeah.
Anyway, I'm still a yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let me write that. All right, let me continue. So Jay, you're a yes, and Josh?
I'm a yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Susan?
I'm a yes, and that means I've agreed with Jay on everything tonight. I'm deeply uncomfortable.
Peter?
You're not alone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Madge?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Doug McGowan? Kay?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's an 8-0-0-0. And Mr. Diller?
Aye.
And our Veep, Doug K.
Yes.
Thank you. So non-committee is 2-0-0-0. Okay, and you are in front of landmarks when?
I think December 12th, somewhere right around then.
15th.
8th or 15th. Yeah.
Either 8 or
Sorry,
15.
the 8th.
It's December 8th.
The 12th is a Saturday, so that's not.
Yeah.
December, and you know our full board meeting is December 1st.
So we'll present
Okay.
this resolution to them and then we'll
Great.
see you at Landmarks.
Great. Hey, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
I appreciate
All
it.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Oh God, did we just screw up? Did Ms. Winfred want to speak on this?
Oh,
I'm so sorry. I didn't think of it until
Well,
just now.
I think she
yeah, I
said she
should
was
have
just
thought of that.
to
She said
watch,
she's
but
here, was just observing, but we should ask her.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I just wanted to confirm that December 8th date for our public hearing meeting.
Very good. Thanks,
Thank you.
Ms. Javati. Ms. Winfred, did you want to be heard on this or?
No, I'm all good. Thank you for including me.
Very
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Just
Our
my
pleasure.
bad for not thinking of it till now.
okay.
All right.
Come again.
Good night.
All right, everybody.
We
All right,
adjourning?
So,
Good night.
everybody be good if you can.
Be
At
careful
home.
out there.
Watch
All right.
TV.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good to
Nice,
see you all.
thank you so
Bye.
much. Thank you.
Okay.
Good job,
Right.
Kay.
See you all
Thank you.
soon.
Good night.
Bye-bye.